In a world where hopium and common sense collide, starring the CryptoKeeper and BlockchainCrusader. Welcome to Debate Crypto.
Question everything, trust nothing. Welcome back, everybody, for another TA Thursday with our boy CVO Crypto. What's up, Paul? How you doing?
Doing good, man. How are you?
Good. I mean, these markets are crazy, bro. I mean, just so many things going on right now. A bunch of crazy news has been happening with the crypto space. Obviously, that does never affect the TA that you do, so that's good. But what are you thinking about this? I mean, I'm just gonna get right into it. I'm not gonna do all the fluff that Nick likes to do at the front of the video. It's gonna get straight to the meat and potatoes. Bitcoin hit 48,000, massive resistance, had a massive dump today, along with the rest of the altcoins. Right, they following Bitcoin. People are freaking out. What do you got to tell the people? Like, hey, man, don't freak out. It's gonna be okay. Are we all gonna make it?
Yeah, I mean, just well, it's so funny because if you look back to last week's stream where I think I can't remember what it was. I mean, we could look at the date real quick, but it was probably around 42 to 44K. I think we were trading at.
Yeah, we're probably fighting for that.
We were pushing up towards the previous range high at the time because I remember we were talking about how that next run up was probably going to be the one that gets took, and then that's exactly what happened over the weekend, or right as we went into the weekend, I think, and then we kind of just held, which we'll pull up the chart here in a second. But no, I mean, just a normal pullback. Honestly, I mean, when you start looking at the percentages in Bitcoin as the pullback, I think it's even under 10% still, but we'll take a peek. But we pretty much just had 9 or 10 straight green days. Kind of having that, that run from the low. So it's just super normal. That's one of the things to kind of be cautious about too with the altcoins specifically is like, you got to pay attention to Bitcoin because when you have these, long-term just runs, and I say long-term, but 10 days straight of just nothing but up, you're in for a pullback. And when Bitcoin pulls back, obviously it's twice as rough for the altcoins short term. So we'll take a look at that real quick. But that's pretty much, to me, that's essentially all we've been,
Yeah, man, it's something people need to get used to, right? It's like we can't just go straight up. Bitcoin is a massive behemoth of an asset, so it takes a ton of money, right, to move. We had candles that were like $2,000 candles. So now that we're hitting some level of resistance and we're dropping down a little bit, it's not the end, guys. It's nothing to freak out about. If you've been in crypto long enough, you know that this is regular Bitcoin behavior, and it's just regular healthy market behavior. You can't just keep moving up and up and up without having some level of cool offing, coming back down a little bit. But right. Yeah, man, show us those charts. See what we got.
Let's see here. So I'm at my old range low here. 2 seconds.
Yeah, no worries. In the meantime, guys, blow up the chat. Drop your questions. I mean, we might be able to cover maybe 1 or 2 altcoins if somebody, drops a super chat or something. Hint, right? But put our boy CVO to work here, but you got to pay him to make him work. And at the same time, guys, Danger Close Alpha NFT project. If you're into prepping, you're into NFTs, you want to get ready before things go sideways, because at the end of the day, the metaverse characters that you're buying right now are not going to save you. This NFT project just might help you. So jump into the Discord. The link is down below. Also, make sure to shoot our boy CVO a follow on all his socials. And, if you want to get more information about the TA he does, join his Discord, join his Patreon. It's Patreon, right? Or is Discord connected to Patreon or something like that?
Yeah, it's just a Discord, yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So definitely, if you want to get that information, get in there. Invest in yourself, invest in your own education. That's the only way to keep growing in this crypto space. Because if you just think you're going to sit down and just find all the information for free on the interwebs, you might have some luck there, but you're going to have a long, rough journey. Let me tell you, investing in yourself is always the way to go when learning about investments, learning about anything. Obviously, nothing here is ever financial advice, guys, but come on.
All right, so I think I'm all set up here.
Let's do it.
Went through my charts here, something got all jacked.
No worries.
All right, so
Leading Crypto, that's right. That's the Discord. That's the YouTube channel for that CVO runs. So go check it out, guys.
That's it. It's a fun time. So, all right, let's take a look so we'll bring it back a little bit, right, to where we were last week. So I got the previous range high mapped out here. And what we were looking at last week was basically, we'll just go off here, but regardless, at the time, what was it? The 20 something, 30, I have to imagine we were around like right here.
Yeah. Somewhere on that stepping stone.
Yeah. And we were pulling back. There was like a monthly open around here, something like that we were looking for possibly. Regardless, the range high was coming in right here about 44,400. This was the previous range. So we were looking to kind of overtake that, right? Reclaim it, and then off we went. And our main area that we were paying attention for in the short term was going to be this yearly key level, right? This is at 47,700. If anybody's familiar with Leading Crypto Discord group or Magic Internet Money, he's the other analyst that runs that with me. He's been, going on about this level for several months at this point. And that's exactly where we broke through, took the slight retest here on the previous range. And then this is our new range low, our new point of control, our new range high for the current range that we're in right now. And we have this key level that was intertwined here. And essentially, we just took it. We ran it in. We took it up to this level, I believe, on Monday. But we basically held above this 44 the entire weekend, just kind of sideways action right above the range high, right before the CME futures open. And right before the weekly close, we actually took this big leg up. It was literally like 30 minutes before everything kind of went down. And then we just held this level. We did not break in and hold above. We were getting wicked out, rejected. And then essentially today came up for that last kiss, and then we shot down. So all in all, right, looking at this, like we were talking about earlier, this has been a 5.5% pullback out of Bitcoin. I wish that there wasn't a CME futures gap right here, because I do feel like everybody's looking for this, which there's a lot of other reasons why I'd be looking for this. One of them being we had the weekly pivot here untapped. 45.74 is a level as well that we have a lot of eyes on there. And then we've got our previous range low right here. But I think that the CME futures gap, and then on top of that, the CME futures is kind of odd. Honestly, I don't even, it depends on how you're looking at it to see. I'll show you this real quick if you don't know anything about that, right? Over the weekend, the CME futures closes. And then if Bitcoin's price action is obviously different from when we close, when we open, there's a gap, tends to get filled. If you're looking at this on the 4-hour time frame, originally we had, this was our last candle. This is where we opened. So this was a pretty big gap, about $1,000. But it depends on how you're looking at it, right? Because if you go down to like a daily time frame, well, now we've got, just about $250 more till that's filled. So that's something to kind of keep in mind as well. To me, the CME futures gap is not the end all be all by any means. And it's just, this is what a lot of, what's the word? I mean, this is just what the average person is definitely going to think of or look to when we're pulling back, right? That was the main reason, so to speak, with everybody's mindset at that point. But yeah, so I mean, realistically, we just ran it up to the new range, right? Got rejection right here at a major key level, pulling back. We're at the range lower, which we're passing through right now. Daily is about to actually close below that, because the daily closes in about probably 20 minutes, something of that nature, 8 p.m. Eastern. And if we're looking here, we basically already broke through the range low, possibly got a little back test right here on this 4-hour candle we're looking at. So, I mean, at the moment, it is more probable we're going to head down a little bit, probably towards this weekly pivot, or at least towards that 45.74, 45.100 level. Not much more than we already are, right? I mean, you're talking another 2-4%. Yeah. All in total of possible 8% pullback just to get back to this range high, break back into this range, and then we got some other issues. But for now, I mean that's super.
So if we break back below 44,396 and we break into that other range high or whatever it was, that means more downward momentum from there. You thinking?
You just want to pay attention to. I mean, we start closing, 4 hours and dailies back below here. You're basically going back into the old range, and then at that point, you got that old range point of control as a target, and that's back down.
It's no bueno. It's no bueno.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's definitely going to lean more towards some downside, but for now, I mean, it's really not the end of the world just to come back down, retest this previous range high. I don't even know if we're going to make it all the way down to there at this moment, right? Because like I said, there's going to be a lot. It's going to be one of two things. We're either going to front run this or we're going to shoot past it a bit because there's a lot waiting on that CME gap. And just, we tend to always kind of either overshoot it or front run it a bit, depending on when that's the case. And the sentiment right now is a lot of people are waiting on 44. So I wouldn't be actually surprised to see us just kind of turn around. And one of the things to look for here would be to kind of re-enter this range now.
So quick question before we move on to the next range, quick question. So when you're looking at patterns or whatever, especially for the new people in the audience watching, when you're looking at patterns, you always have the breakout, then you have the retest, and you have the confirmation and blast off. Does that play into these range highs and lows as well? So would it be something to look for about retesting that previous range high, confirming a pop off from it? Or that's not just how these range highs.
Not necessarily. I mean, we've already retested the range high. So I mean, it's not like that would be, that's not like the end all be all. The bigger thing of concern for me would be that the weekly pivot is right here, which once again, so this is like the average of price for all last week. And generally you back test that within the next week. So we're running out of time on that aspect. And we shot past that area before we printed it, right? Because we got up to this level by Monday, and then this print, or I guess Sunday night, whatever. So that's a big one for me right here, about 44.7. The CME, it just depends on how you're looking at the CME gap, but I just put that there because it's aligning with that area in general too. This is not necessarily an exact level to watch, specifically, just more like an area, so to speak. But yeah, I mean, even if you do, though, you're going to pull it back. Most people are going to do the old Bart Simpson, joke, right, where you get that little run up here and then come back down.
Good old Bart.
Yeah, the good old Bart. But realistically, I mean, this is just a super, this would be a totally normal pullback in that sense. I mean, we've definitely ran it up so much over the last few weeks here, which once again, just because you could re-enter this range for a bit and even go back towards that point of control of 42K. That's not it's the nail in the coffin saying we're going straight down to 30K from there, but that'd be something to look for if we start breaking below there. But regardless, this was just, in the near term, so we're looking at, right, possibly getting a back test of this range low. Essentially, we would be looking lower. If you break this range low, start closing above it, then we're pretty much looking back up from here. So
hopefully we can pump, right? Bitcoin conference is next week. I don't think people want to be showing up there with massive red candles on the way down. So hopefully, I don't know who they got to call out there to make these prices pump, but got to get some excitement, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. But yeah, no, I would imagine that over the next few weeks, we probably run up to this range high, which is about 50K. And, from, depending on how everything kind of plays out. One thing that we were looking at last time, which, as far as moving averages and this and that go, obviously those are lagging indicators, but right before this move last week, we were looking at this bullish cross on the daily EMAs, which generally has led, this is not, once again, not something to just kind of take as gospel, but generally has led to another 80 to 100-day continuation, right? We got a bearish cross up here, which is blue crossing over red. Obviously, we had about 120 days of downside. You had a bullish cross over here, had about 90 days upside here. This was a bearish cross over here. Basically had about 100 days to the downside there.
And what EMAs are those?
This is 20 in blue and 55 in red.
Those are EMAs, not EMAs.
These are EMAs. So
EMAs. Okay.
Yeah, exponential moving averages. So they're different from the simple moving averages. These are more heavily weighted with the current price action or the most recent price action. So they're a little bit quicker, right, to pull up. If you're looking at simple moving averages, they tend to be a little bit more lagging. Getting a little bit of a pullback as we're making this video right now, actually.
They're not liking what you're saying, CVL. They're not liking what you're saying, man.
Yeah, what time is this? Probably the daily close, right?
Yeah, it's 7:45.
This is actually the monthly close right now, actually, in the next 15 minutes. So, we're going to watch this come down and probably tag that weekly pivot right before we finish it up.
Stay tuned, guys.
Anyways, what I brought this up for was these EMAs, right? So at some point, we'll probably come back down and retest one or both of them. And, over the next couple of days here, this would line up pretty much with this range high. You really would, not be anything to just come back down, retest these EMAs and take off. without kind of junking all this stuff up, I was going to show kind of like similar to what we did here back in the summer last year. So we had that bearish cross up in May, obviously, right? Price action remained below, couldn't get above, below. Boom, got the bullish cross right here, got the back test of the EMAs, and then we continued upward from there. So something to consider there in the short term as well. But yeah, obviously I think we're getting that pullback towards that weekly pivot. And may end up seeing that kind of fulfill right here tonight. But regardless, this, to me would be an area. One thing, I guess, without going too all over the place, with the altcoins as well, right? We were looking at a bunch of altcoins back here as Bitcoin. This was the range low, the previous range. And as Bitcoin is grinding it out at the range low, a lot of altcoins were also at the range low. Well, as Bitcoin is running up into this major resistance, we're having a lot of altcoins running into range highs. Other, you've seen Zilliqa, like all these other coins that have been popping 300%, 400%, 500% over the last few weeks. Generally you get that like last little hurrah for a few days, and then you kind of start losing steam in Bitcoin, and then you can kind of tell we're about to roll over for a bit. So just a normal pullback, honestly. And even though this looks rough, once again, this has been 6%. We pull it back to the range high. You're talking 8%. In Bitcoin. So,
yeah, aka baby stuff in the crypto world, guys. If you can't handle 6 or 7% pullback in crypto, buckle up, because there's a lot worse things that could be happening.
Right. Now, the altcoins, on the other hand, are going to feel it, right? But granted, they also felt it 10 times as much
on the way up
over the last weeks. So ETH, similar deal. Let me see where the weekly pivot is kind of what I'm looking at for ETH too. We might not get it, but it's right here about 31.40, so about $120 away from where we are now. So it just kind of all aligns with Bitcoin pulling back another few percent. If we get it, this would be a 3 or 4% drop out of ETH. And you also got the previous range high and the yearly key level below that. So not totally out of the question. To kind of just this whole little box here would be that next major support for ETH, assuming that Bitcoin doesn't just completely melt to the downside. But this is what I'd be looking for short term. I know a lot of people may have missed this, I suppose, even though the whole weekend we pretty much coasted. The thing was that we coasted at the highs, and that's what's nerve wracking sometimes, right? As we even for Ethereum, it basically broke and held like $3,100 flat all weekend long. It was like the most stable coin compared to anything else. And then as soon as Bitcoin, rallied up towards 47, we got this launch here on Ethereum as well. So as far as the, next major targets for me for ETH to the upside, assuming, we turn around even here, come down to this pivot regardless, looking for this yearly open would be my next one, about 36.77. Then we've got this cluster up here between there and like 4K. Obviously,
so not a lot of resistance on the way up for Ethereum.
There's not a ton. I mean, I kind of took them out. There's a couple of like smaller levels here in the way, but really nothing major until you get to this yearly open here. So,
I do have a question for you on an altcoin, just for the simple fact that they've been doing some stuff that I kind of like, and what they've been doing is buying up Bitcoin. So if you guys have been paying attention, I'm talking about Terra Luna, right? For whatever reason, this year, the markets have been dumping. We recently were pumping, but Terra Luna nonetheless has been either pumping the whole way through or holding very strong against Bitcoin and the rest of the crypto market. So what does that look like for Terra Luna in general? Like, why is I'm not going to ask you why it's holding up so strong, but like, what kind of resistance and support levels are we looking for Terra Luna for the rest of not the rest of this year, but for the foreseeable future, since it's just been not doing what Bitcoin is doing, and they've been buying up. I think they're the third largest holder of Bitcoin right now, or something like that, something wild like that. They've been buying a boatload of Bitcoin lately.
Yeah, it's odd, I guess, how they can do things of that nature. But for Luna, the thing with Luna is that we're punching into, it's probably back down below now, but you got price discovery on your hands here, right? So we're coming into uncharted territory, so to speak. Let's take a look here. Yeah, so we're kind of prairie dogging it a little bit around the previous all-time high. And so, I mean, from here, it's just, there's just next targets. I mean, you can just, you can start throwing on fib extensions and see, what to kind of look for. This was my next target right here, which was 109. We've obviously hit that, come back down. This is that all-time high, which is interesting to note that while Bitcoin's pulling back, is not that it's a ton, Luna's still pretty much holding on to this previous all-time high pretty well, almost like a perfect retest, right? If you were looking at it like that, I would imagine if Bitcoin continues lower, obviously we're probably going to break back down, maybe retest this range high right here. But to the short-term next targets here, I'm looking at 117, 123, and 130. So nothing super exciting in the short term because that's only about a 30% move in crypto. That's not enough to excite everybody, I guess.
Yeah. Oh no, just 30%. Oh man.
But that would be the next levels there, and then from there we'd have to take it up from there. But overall though, for Luna over the last few weeks, or even just this last month, right, we had this just beautiful move here, and you're up like 112% right now, 130% at the high. And if we run it up, if you had been in, obviously, you're looking at a 170% move here. So I'm sure Luna's got, some room to run here. Just short term wise, I'd be looking at like 130 coming in here. And, as Bitcoin recovers and things of that nature, right? So definitely got to look and see how Bitcoin reacts in this period of time. But yeah, I mean, Luna's, obviously probably going to hold that upside hype with whatever. I don't really know what they're doing with is buying this, like they're printing their own money or something and buying Bitcoin.
They're building up like a Bitcoin reserve, and backing their UST with the Bitcoin holdings that they're buying. So that's got a lot of people riled up, obviously, and pumped about it. But
so are they printing their own money and then buying Bitcoin with it and then backing up their printed money with the Bitcoin that they bought with their printed money that they printed?
Yeah, I mean something like that, right? They're taking a playbook right out of the Federal Reserve, right? It's like, hey, if they can do it, why can't we, right? At least we're actually buying something that's worth something, Bitcoin, versus the Federal Reserve just buys up more debt the whole time.
Dang, yeah.
I don't know all the exact details of how they're doing all of that, but they're doing obviously a lot of borrowing and lending with Anchor Protocol, and all of that plays into their algorithmic token and how they can continue buying. Just kind of like MicroStrategy, right? MicroStrategy is pulling out more and more loans that are backed. They're Bitcoin backed loans to buy more Bitcoin once again. So they're kind of doing the same thing, just algorithmically with their stablecoin. Yeah, man, it's wild. I mean, like I said, Bitcoin conference next week. Hopefully we see another pump. Hopefully we do reach these new all-time highs relatively soon, maybe for May, right? What's the phrase again for May?
Sell in May and walk away.
Yeah, sell in May and walk away. I mean,
so I want to talk about that because another thing, right? So I don't catch not that I don't catch, but once again, I don't use a ton of the news as far as whatever. But the big thing for me, I guess, is sentiment across the board. And it's interesting to note that that a lot of many are kind of anticipating that, right? So whether or not it is what it is, I mean, that is a normal thing to be looked at. In Q2 and whatever. So, I mean, I'm not saying that, we're destined to just kind of not have a pullback there, but it's interesting to note that a lot of people, especially as Bitcoin's kind of running it back again, that they are, taking profits really aggressively, which is great if you're in profit. And I think it's kind of in anticipation of like just kind of running it back to 60K or maybe goes to 70 or whatever. And then that's kind of the high, or that'll be the peak. And then we pull back again. And it's going to be interesting because, wouldn't it be something to just have the summer of this year, be somewhere where we actually like have a pretty big move to the upside. But that's neither here nor there till we get there. But it is something to be noted that many are planning on selling in May or planning on selling at 60K.
And maybe they're selling a local bottom, right? It's going to keep on moving.
Not necessarily a bottom, but I just one of the things we talked about last year, when once again I was somebody who was anticipating the end of the year to be a lot different, but one of the things I was looking for, or that I was concerned that many would end up doing would be to kind of sell too soon, right? To kind of aggressively sell with just small which once again, if you're happy with it, if that's, if blah, blah, blah. But what happens is something like Zilliqa, and we can look at some of these like major pumps that just went on too on some of these coins, because there were some big ones. But like Zilliqa, for example, right? Anybody that just kind of sold out of that recently, granted you held it probably for quite some time. That first move the other day, which was like 50 or 60%, if everybody dumped it then, which still, once again, you had a 50, 60% move when the rest of the market pretty much stood still. So you have the opportunity now to increase your position somewhere else if that's what you wanted to. And that's kind of what you have to have, kind of come to terms with when you do sell something, because a lot of times it is going to keep going, or at some point it'll be more than what you sold it out for, and everybody kicks themselves for that. But it's just going to be an interesting time, man. I feel that the main sentiment right now is that everybody's aggressively selling off, taking profit, which once again, that's awesome. But I think that it's, opens everybody up to kind of like possibly end up FOMOing back in at higher prices, because the altcoins specifically, I mean, we've seen what just occurred with Bitcoin, right? The altcoins have been beaten down 70, 80, 99%, some of them. And with an 8% move out of Bitcoin, you have coins popping off 300% over the course of a few days. And that's not even, a couple of them actually are at new all-time highs now. But it's interesting.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I think it's a very good theory that everything that we've expected has been the opposite, right? So we weren't expecting a massive drop in May because of all the hype that was happening. We had the drop. Right, we had the lullaby in the summer. Then we all expected December to be the massive blow off top. Didn't work out that way. The opposite happened. Now May's coming up again, and we're all expecting, this time I'm definitely going to be taking profits, whatever price it's at, right? Because this and that. And then people might not be expecting an all-time high again for this end of the year. And maybe it does happen this end of the year, right? So maybe everything happens the opposite of what we're expecting. And that's always been like a kind of like a theme in the crypto space, or at least in the investing world in general, but definitely seen in the crypto space, where when everyone thinks something's going to happen, the opposite happens. Last year, everyone was extremely bullish. A lot of bearish things happened. This year, everybody's a lot more bearish. Maybe a lot more bullish things do happen this year. Who knows? Whether it's due to inflation, due to whatever it is, whatever outside factor it is, maybe we're going to see a lot more price increase than people are expecting at certain times.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think that's a very, once again, like I said, as soon as we cross through that January timeframe, and when we were where we were, I was like, it's going to be the most confusing time, man. And it's just the markets in general. Like, nobody's going to know, and you can expect exactly how it's going to be. I mean, you can speculate all you want, and then have your plan to some degree, and then when that breaks or changes, you got to be able to adapt. And that's just something I've noticed pretty heavily. Two things. A lot of people think April is going to be really good, which it may. And then, it's kind of like going back towards like October of last year, where it was like pump Vember and whatever, December, all this stuff, the same thing. And it was kind of, obviously it ended up we had the 1 month that kind of walked us into that, and then everybody got all excited, and then obviously, kind of turned around on us. And then from there, it's just been a total reaccumulation area. But it's going to be, I just noticed that, like I said, like you'll see it, you'll hear it a lot. Nick even, right? Like he was kind of the first one to kind of bring it to my attention, or not bring it to my attention, but he had mentioned it about last year, right? Where he was like, I was going to sell in May and walk away. But, like you said, like the hype was so high. I think that walking into this summer, depending on how things go, there's 57, 58K, there's some major targets around there, and for good reason across the board. Anybody can come to the conclusion that 57, 58 is a major area, no matter how you're looking at it. But what if we punch up past 60, right? Like, and then, what do you do? And once again, you're talking, everybody has their own, choices to make out there and whatever. And obviously you run the risk of being in this market at all, that whatever you're in is going to drop 90%. It's almost as equal of a risk to get out sometimes, depending on how you do it, and miss out on more. Right. So, it's just,
exactly.
You just got to like mentally prepare for that. which I don't even know if that's possible, right? Because everybody does quite the opposite when the prices are dropping and all this. And I think everybody tells themselves one thing, and then when it's happening, it's very different. So,
yeah, dude, that's why trading is nice and it's cool, and I obviously I like learning from you, and I like learning TA, and I try doing my own little trades here and there, but the majority of my portfolio is a HODL portfolio. I just buy and dollar cost average into it, and I know that nothing in that portion of my portfolio, which is the majority, it's like 99%, right? So I'm trading like with maybe 1% of my portfolio at all.
Right.
That's not going to be an emotional trade. I'm not going to sell it all in May because of the rumors of, sell in May and walk away, or because of whatever. And I'm not going to just take a massive amount of profit, even if I could, or I'm not going to, panic sell on the way bottom. Like, that's just going to be a thing that I hold for the long period because of that risk, right? Taking profits on it right now, knowing where it could be in the near future, right? Just a couple of years. Like Nick and I talk about 2030 all the time, right? 2030, retiring off crypto, whatever, 2030. That's only 8 years away. Like that's nothing, right? That was like high school and college together. Boom, 8 years went by real quick, and we're almost there. So I make sure that my dollar cost averaging, my massive amount of the amount of my portfolio is in a non-emotional state, and I do just a very small amount of trading. I know a lot of people do the opposite. They have a small, DCA or long-term investment portfolio and a big trading portfolio. I feel like that is in better hands of people like you, right, and other TA experts that can manage their emotions and have the technical skills to make critical trading decisions. But the majority of people, I believe, are not prepared technically and emotionally to do the kind of things that you do like that, because it's just so massive and it takes a lot.
Right. Well, and then the other thing is, like, a lot of times, man, it's timing is everything, right? You can't, depending on how big your whatever you're trying to achieve is, right? If you have a massive account, like, you can't just be swinging that around every single day if you're trying to actively trade it. And that's, sometimes you do, you got to wait for those range lows or those, bottoming areas. And then, even like right now, like, for somebody to have been waiting or to have been taking a short position at 47, 48K during all the, there really wasn't too much. I don't know. I didn't feel like there was a ton of hype there, but it wasn't like, anything gloomy by any means. It was all like 50K tomorrow and, like the normal stuff. But, it takes it out of you to like take a short trade at that region and then wait, for it to even move. And then because you get a lot of ups and downs in between before you actually get that pullback that we got today. I mean, it's been at 47, 48K Bitcoin for, since basically Sunday night. Right. So,
people this time around have definitely been a lot more beat down. Like, that extreme excitement of bullishness has been beat out of them since last year. I feel like people are very skeptical about bullish momentum, and they quickly accept bearish momentum nowadays.
Yeah, and that's always the downfall for around the reversal times, right? Like it takes like a hot month to get people used, because you're only used to one thing, right? Like, everybody's just so used to the disappointment right now because it's just been such a just downward momentum basically over the last, I mean, you're talking 4 months now. So that's over a third of a year. So for it to turn around now, so to speak, and kind of head up, it's, it's probably not going to be until around, and like I said, I even think we could go to $57,000. People will still be skeptical as can be, right? Like that's how, kind of thinking back to when you and I were in 2017, right? Like when you came out of that bear market, like it took a minute, like to really be like, oh, this is gonna, and it really probably wasn't for, the majority of people really didn't feel comfortable with the market again until it was above 20K. So I think that's going to be the same thing here. Is that if we even run it back towards 60, I feel like most people will still be like, okay, it's cool, it's going to crash back again or whatever. But yeah, it's going to be a wild ride, right? To say the least. I was going to look at a couple of these altcoins real quick that
bring
just
it
kind
up.
of that like rallied super hard, and this is a good example too of like where like you were saying, like a short-term trade obviously would have bit you a little bit. But that's, it's a tough one to kind of figure out which ones those are going to be sometimes, right? So you do have to have your long-term holds.
Dude, we got an epic comment in the chat saying, if you're married 20 plus years, you're used to having your life beat out of you. There is nothing. This is nothing. Oh man, Michael, you're a savage.
That's funny. Waves, right? Waves was a big one. And one thing that I started, what's that?
A lot of people have been talking about Waves on Twitter.
Dude, Waves has just been ridiculous, right? So like zooming out here, this was the high, I think. I'm pretty sure this is in like massive all-time highs at this point. Yeah, so this is in, at least on Binance. But yeah, new all-time highs. I was looking at this once again when everything was kind of bottoming out with Bitcoin, right around this range low down here, all the way at this monthly open and range low at about $9. We had a range high right here, essentially, right? Just kind of been updating this along the way, but you had this range low, boom, broke the range, came back tested it, basically took off from there. Yearly open was the next target, blew through that. Right, you had your yearly key level up here. Obviously, we came up and tagged that. Small pullback, nothing crazy. Boom, took off from there again. And along the way, what I do, and whether it, it's just something I take into consideration at this point, whether it means anything or not. Obviously, that's just something I consider. But if you go to this CoinGlass.com, it kind of shows the funding rates, certain coins, and now that there's a ton of altcoins on leverage, which that wasn't the case back in the day. I usually flick between Binance and Bybit because they have the two highest volumes, or usually they do so. But anyways, you go to Bybit here and you flick it on, and you can see which coins are the most shorted here, in green. And for that whole period,
please tell me it's XRP.
No. But for the longest time, it was Waves, that entire ride up. Like Zilliqa right now is another one. So, you're looking for a pullback, and not to say that it won't, but it's just this is just showing that, like when you start seeing the baseline of this is this 0.01. So this is Zilliqa on Binance is just like super, there's equal shorters and long, equal people going short, equal people going long, so to speak. And then you get to this position where this is, in a sense of math here, right? That's like 14x the amount of people going short. Not that that's really the case, it's just the funding rate of it. So it's, towards the shorter. So the people that are shorting that coin stand to get hurt the most, right? So they pump, the price gets pumped. These guys get liquidated. That fuels the price even more. And it just continues from there. So Waves was just that number one coin that was everybody was trying to short it, right? Because it was like it was just up so much. So
they pulled the GameStop on it, and
pretty much. So then we, just took it level by level, right? You got your quarterly key levels here, pull back, runs it up again, just boom, boom, boom. Last key level comes into play up here. Basically all-time highs is after that. We run it up to there. We got a golden pocket. You pulled it back to the golden pocket, and then just sheer straight up once again. And then just like Luna, now you got, fib targets up here. So these are, extended targets from previous move here. You got 63, which we came up and tagged today and had a pullback. You got 70, and then you got 80 pretty much after that. This is not something I would be jumping into, right?
Yeah, I was about to just bring that up, right? It's like, this looks like a massive warning.
I bring this up for anybody that's just holding Waves already, but this is something that's up 700% almost.
Wow.
Since February 25th. So, I mean, it's been 5 weeks, something like that.
Yeah.
But,
folks.
Yeah, I mean, this was just an epic journey of that. But, just bringing that up to, like you said, like, anybody that, a trader that got in here and sold out here at the range high, which would have been a beautiful trade, obviously missed out on this. So it's just, you got to be prepared to do that on some of these. And then if you're just holding, obviously that's a different battle. That, Waves was a big one. Zill is another one.
Zill's out another. Wow, it looks like pretty much identical.
Right. So originally we were trading in here. This was the current monthly range right down here. The point of control was here. Our monthly open, and I mean, essentially just very similar, right? I don't have it pulled up here, but you basically just took over the point of control and then just ran it, re-entered this previous range. This range is big. Range low is here. Range high is here. So, I mean, this is from like Q2 of last year. So right before the summer crash, 215% range from low to high. and it just cycled the entire range basically over the few days. Point of control did hit this for a minute, and then basically shot through. Yearly key level was there. Pullback. We were looking for and once again, this was more so on a trading basis, because once again, this is like not even here. This wouldn't have been something I would have, even though yes, it's already rallied and ran up, but you're still not wanting to chase something up 200%, right? Like for the most part, these will end up coming down pretty hard. But these couple were against the grain. But yeah, I mean, it's just nasty how some of them have ran it up. And this is what I kind of am bringing up too, because once again, this one specifically was from the 26th of March. So what was that? Friday. So from Friday to today, or the other day, 355% from the 26th to the 30th. And let's take a look at Bitcoin, what it did. And I bring this up kind of going into that sell in May, walk away time frame, where I just feel like, obviously everybody's got their own decisions to make and everything, but when you start seeing some of these projects rip, I think people, if they do, people will probably end up buying back higher, and that's just the nature of the beast, I guess. But 26th, right? So from here, that's not the day, but regardless, from the 26th to the 31st, this was essentially right there. So we had an 8% move out of Bitcoin, which resulted in ZIL running up 400% comfortably, right? So it doesn't take much, and as long as Bitcoin is remotely bullish and not doing this, the alts run really well. So,
dude, that's wild, bro. That is a wild run. I mean, wow, that massive amount of money in a very short period of time. I mean, that's the big benefit of the altcoins, right? And trading some of these altcoins is you can make a lot of money if you just time it right. But that goes back to the skills, right? To be able to identify the opportunity.
But what's great is like, and even, you don't have to be trading, these things like on leverage and all this and all that. Like, that range I just showed you was 200%, even just buying and holding or whatever, or just in general, even if you're still down, right? That's the thing. Like, it's foolish to think that, you don't have, anybody that's holding from the top to now is not still down well, if you're holding ZIL, you can't be down at this point because it just made all-time highs and waves as well. But when the rest of the market, granted it went up, don't get me wrong, most things went up 20, 30, whatever. You have an advantage now, because now you have, you're increased your portfolio, so to speak, by 200% from where it was a couple of days ago. And if you were to take that and put it into something that hasn't popped yet, right? Like, especially some of the larger caps like DOT and Chainlink, granted they're slower movers and this and that, but so is Zilliqa. I mean, Zilliqa was a pretty large cap too, to kind of take that kind of move. It just depends. It's a lot of work across the board, right? Whether you're long-term holding, you're dollar cost averaging, you're trying to trade, like no matter what, it's going to take a toll on you. It's going to take time. And, you just either got to throw it in there and wait years, or if you're going to be actively, following this and that, you got to just kind of, formulate your strategy to whatever works best for you. So
yeah, dude, that's why people are looking for this type of information, this type of education, right? Learning about stuff like this. That's why you join this the Discord of Leading Crypto, aka ran by CVO Crypto. So definitely, this is the kind of information you're trying to learn and the skills you're trying to attain. That's the place to go, guys.
Yeah, it's definitely a good time, like I said. But Solana was another one, right? So, and this is kind of a more realistic, not realistic, but this is kind of like more of what the majority of altcoins kind of, had a run of. It looks like a nice big move to the upside. It's nothing compared to ZIL and waves, but, a nice little 65% move from the range low.
Just 65%. No big
right.
deal.
Right. And depending on how Bitcoin reacts at this point, right? I don't know if we're going to come down to those lows. We might have actually already tagged them. It depends. But, the next moves here for Solana would be up towards this yearly key level, about $144. But it wouldn't be unlikely at this point to kind of get a pullback, right? So, and once again, especially if Bitcoin is going to pull back another 5 or 6%, we'll probably definitely get this pullback out of Solana, maybe even going back to this previous range high, or a couple of these levels here. But regardless, I point this one out because in the group yesterday, we were looking at Bitcoin obviously not being able to take over that $47,000 level. So it came into some major resistance. And at the same time, a lot of altcoins, granted, it's not just coming into range highs, but they're coming into major resistances as well. And across the board, it was, either coming into range highs, or they were coming into big quarterly key levels or yearly key levels. And, it was just a time where it was kind of clear that a not necessarily super, guaranteed, but it was more probable that we're going to get that pullback, and especially with Bitcoin, right? So if Bitcoin pulls back, everything's coming with it. Like CRO is another one that basically just ran it straight to the range high.
Yeah, dude, that Crow did really well. I mean, I actually got into a small position into Crow at around like 37 cents, and it's gone all the way up to like 47 cents.
Yep. So same deal, right? Yesterday, basically had the range high. Today came back in, back tested it. Obviously down we go a little bit. So monthly key level would probably where we may end up coming down to for Crow. It's about 44 cents, only 2 cents difference from where it is now. And then we got monthly open and things of that nature. So it really depends on Bitcoin. And Bitcoin's pretty much just about near that range low, not the range low, but that CME futures gap area that we were looking for in the weekly pivot. So, I mean, it's like the altcoins aren't really taking too much of a beating here, which is interesting.
I mean, I feel like Bitcoin's acting more like a stable coin this last year or so than ever. I mean, it's been nothing like the 2017 market where we had massive explosion up and down, like at very rapid pace. Now it's like you've said multiple times, right? These long sideways consolidation periods, and it's just so different to have a different pace in crypto this time around.
Right. Yeah, it very much is a big move. And if you're not, prepared for, then you're already too late, right? And you really want to be like making your plan, strategizing around these times where we go sideways. So after the big move for days, right? So like even this one right here, we're looking for all of our setups to reach their highs, literally around right here as we're struggling to get this level. Started noticing a lot of these altcoins were coming through. So, it's time to take profits or hedge your bets to some degree. Got the pullback now. We could go a little bit lower. We could end up just ranging around here for a minute. And then, this is where you want to look around, see where the altcoins kind of come down to, see if they start finding their way to major support and start getting ready for that next leg up or possibly leg down. So, yeah.
Let's for the people here that have been asking about VeChain and XYO, pick either one, or if they're quick. But I'm assuming same thing, right? Bitcoin's price is determining the rest of everyone's price. If Bitcoin's dropping right now, VeChain, XYO will probably be coming on their way down as well. Obviously, I'm not the TA expert here, but it's just common sense. Bitcoin does run the market. But what do you think?
I mean, same thing. Like, we had VeChain kind of run into some major resistance as well. So same deal. Like down here, kind of noticed. We were coming into our range low. This was put in the group on this day on the 14th, so 2 weeks ago. And next target was, our point of control. We had a little triple stacked area here, monthly open, monthly key level, quarterly key level. You got your range high here, and then you got your yearly open. I'm going to switch charts real quick because what I did here too is that basically when we broke this range high, we jumped into the next range, which is above us. But taking a look at that, right? So now you got your next range low. We basically entered right here. Point of control was taken, and then we ran it up to the range high. So another, just like looking across at some of these larger coins, when you see, them having a nice big move, once again, kind of pairing it with Bitcoin running in the major resistance, markets losing steam. You kind of get that. You just kind of know that we're going to see some pullbacks here short term. What are we at here? About 15. That's the only problem is you got an 8% pullback out of Bitcoin. It's going to be double for, maybe triple even for some of the small caps. But for VeChain, I'd be looking for this range low, about 7.5 cents to be held. If Bitcoin really kind of melts from here down to, 44 and some change or anything like that, I'd probably be looking for this monthly key level down below. But aside from that, just kind of onward and upward from there. You're looking for that 9 cents area to get broken for the upside. We are under the point of control right now, which is a pretty, bearish in the short term here because that's a pretty big resistance level. But yeah, so just that would be, that was kind of our journey for VeChain in the last few weeks here. Now we're just looking for it to come back into some major support or flip some resistances here to continue onward. XYO, I don't even know if I've had it. I have it with.
Yeah, that's that coin that they do the walking mining or something like that. You get paid for walking or something, or geolocation, something along those lines.
Is it XYO? I don't even know why I drew this on there, but
yeah,
I guess I do have a chart here. So, yeah, I mean, just kind of similar here, right? Just this is a little different than most. I mean, we did run to the range high already. This was actually a couple days back, so this is not necessarily in this recent Bitcoin run. And then from here, I mean, once you flip this monthly open and this point of control, which is pretty much where we are right now, then I'd be looking back up towards this range high. You got a monthly key level above that. And then your yearly open would be my next major target if we start flipping this right here. So about whatever that is, 0.033, 0.034. But the next major area to kind of flip and hold, because you can see how we have like wicks only. You want to start seeing at least 4-hour candles closing above here. About this, like pretty much where we are right now. So this monthly open is right above there, about 2 cents 14, whatever, how you want to read that. But otherwise you got your range low coming in as support back down at like 0.016, and you got a weekly level below that. But yeah, this looks like it may end up kind of taking this out here. So
nice. Thank you. I appreciate that for the audience, for the people. I'm sure they appreciate that as well. But yeah, man, I mean, I'm excited to see what this year's got in stock for the rest of us, right? Because it's only hindsight where like, okay, man, this happened, that happened. But I am hoping that we do reach new all-time highs recently, sometime soon, and that maybe later this year we do break to new all-time highs. Like, I'm talking about reaching the 69K level sometime in the next couple of weeks, maybe, and then maybe I eventually get into that crazy 100K, right? That's the big target for everybody, 100K by the end of the year. Maybe this is the year. Maybe we're completely wrong, or maybe I'm completely wrong, right? And we're just gonna hit new all-time highs for a longer period of time. Maybe the next Bitcoin halving event. But I just have this feeling that every time we think we know what's going to happen, the opposite happens. And, the sentiment is just very bearish, very negative. Nobody's excited about crypto pumping. And everyone's just very skeptical, very hesitant, unlike any other time, like, 2017 or anything like that. So I don't know, man.
Yeah, I mean, the fear is always there, though. I mean, at least the only thing I can remember, even from the last year, even from when we were, moving up, every pullback. I mean, this, like I said, this is a 6. If it's not going completely up, every level you take out, the higher it goes, it's instantly forgotten that, 1 week ago we would have begged for 45, 590, and then a month ago you would have really begged for that, and so on and so forth. But that goes to, more so just because nobody really. It's one of those things where you see your portfolio at a certain level, and then once you've seen it there, it's like, oh, I should have sold yesterday, or I should have done this, or anybody that comes in just late, comes in right at that 47, or at these high points, and we recommend, or not recommend, but we talk about Bitcoin a lot. But when Bitcoin's at these highs, obviously the altcoins are at the highs too. As you can see, anybody that just bought VeChain yesterday or whatever, is down 15%. Anybody that's running into Waves and Zilliqa, not that they're down at the moment, but they probably will be. And you're also buying something that's 600%, 700%, 300% up in a few days. And I don't know what it is about something that is up so substantially, other than maybe people just think it will continue like quickly. Like, it's just like, I'm going to buy this today, so it flips again, because the most amount of messages or this or that is when something like that is up, or when Shiba is up 10x in a month, and that's the most desirable thing to get into. And it's
man, I think it's the same mentality as like Gary V and some of these other influencers, content creators out there that basically I forgot what his name is, but he started talking about couch flipping and how he was making like $30,000 flipping couches, buying these old used couches, getting it a little refurnished, washing it up a little bit, and then selling it. It was a side hustle, right? Gary V and his garage sales. Nobody cared about garage sales. Nobody cared about flipping couches or flipping mattresses. These content creators came out there, validated that this is a thing to make tons of money, everyone is out there trying to flip garage sales, right? Trying to flip couches, trying to flip. And when I say flip, I don't mean physically flip them. Like they're not doing CrossFit flipping them, right? They're actually buying them, refurnishing them, and then selling them again for money. And it's one of these things where it's like people find validation out of somebody's success, and then they say, well, if they've done it, then I'm gonna do it. But then it becomes a saturated thing, and then it's no longer profitable. I think the same thing happens with these massive green candles. Oh, it's validated that it's on the way up, so now I'm gonna jump in to make more money. And it's the same thing. It gets saturated, and then the opposite happens. It becomes unprofitable, too much competition or whatever. I know there's a little bit of a big difference there, but it's kind of the same concept. People want, from a point of validation, that you're making money with this. So if it's a massive green candle, you're making money, buy. If it's on the way down, don't buy. Couches make money, I'm going to start flipping couches. Oh, now everybody's flipping couches, is not making money. I stop flipping couches, and that party becomes profitable again because now nobody's doing it anymore. So it's just one of those things. Nobody wants to be the first to, test the theory. If this is going to go up in price, is this going to, take that risk? Everybody just wants to catch it on the way up.
Right. What is
ew, bed bugs. Heidi was like, ew, bed bugs.
It's interesting to note the news stuff too, right? So it's about to be April. So looking back 5 months at this point, almost, December, we had new variant scare. That's not, I don't know. To me, I don't hear anything about that right now, right? I'm sure it's about to be time when the seasons change. Yep. But you don't hear anything about that. Like, it's just like how similar and simple it is when these news, they're relevant in the time of, but then it's like, they just die off, man. And like even with Ukraine and everything recently, it's like, that kind of, not
everybody's used to it now.
Not that nothing's going on, but it's like it's just doesn't seem to hold that weight anymore.
Yeah, dude. I mean, look what happened with Afghanistan, right? Afghanistan, Iraq, that war lasted for like 14, 16 years, whatever it was. And it's like people just became numb to it. Yeah, there's a war somewhere in the world happening. Doesn't bother me anymore. It's just dissipate. People get desensitized to the information.
Casey Gaggle said, "Yeah, if it can run 200%, why can't it run another 200%?" That's the mindset for sure. And like I said, I mean, looking at like Zill or Waves, obviously that was one of the few where, if you would have sold it at 200%, it did run another 200%. And I feel like those few moves though are what traps people into the next pumps, because it's just like kind of like Doge and Shiba, right? You got Doge that everybody said would never go to $1, and then it got damn close. So then that opened up the door, because now you have Shiba, which was, similar and the same price and all these things, even though the market cap was astronomical. But you can't argue with somebody who's going to be like, they said the same thing about Doge, they said the same thing about Waves, they said the same thing about Zilliqa. So once again, it's everybody's got, is responsible for their own decisions there. So all we can do is put out some ideas and stuff I'm looking at, you're looking at, thinking about, and then hopefully everybody else does take a minute and do some critical thinking or some research on their own. Unfortunately, most do not. But
I completely agree, dude. I couldn't have said it better myself. I think it's up to everyone to educate themselves, invest in themselves, invest in their education, right? Whether it's joining your group or whatever it is, to be able to do these decisions. But people just want to be given the answer. They don't want to work for the answer.
Hey, I get it. I don't want to work for it either, man. I wish I could just know that Waves was going to go 600% this month. I mean, that would have changed everybody's life if we all knew that.
Yeah, dude. Just tell me when it's going to pump. I'll pull out my entire
net worth. Like 20 charts a day. I would have loved to just be like, go all in on Waves, like kick back 100x long. I mean, you'd be chilling if we all knew that.
So any parting thoughts for the people, for the audience, for the future people watching this someday down the line?
Just if you were watching earlier with our Bitcoin levels, it's pretty much between where we are now and that 40. I'd like to say it was 44.5, something of that nature. So within the next $1,000, I guess, of where we are. Totally normal pullback. We may go sideways around these areas for maybe this weekend. Also, April 1st is tomorrow, and
April Fools, guys.
A lot of times we get a pretty big move up or down, but usually, or not usually, the ones of memory have been pretty big. April 1st of like 2019 was like the day we blew right out of the $3,000 low. So we had the $3,000, like literally the bear market low. April 1st was the day we shot out of that. October 1st, right, beginning of Q4 last year, we went from 40 to 50K in several hours. So it's, these quarters, they have some meaning to them. So walking into Q2, could be a pretty fun day. Could be a pretty interesting month. It is a Friday is the only reason I, maybe don't hold my breath on anything too crazy. But then again, the weekends, like last weekend, we did the same thing. We basically had that move to the upside right before we closed, held it all weekend. We ended up actually having more of a push before the markets even really opened on Sunday night. So should be some good times ahead, I think. So
awesome, dude. I'm excited. I wanted to tell the people, right? I said there was going to be a surprise. So here it is, guys. Officially, Bitcoin, debate crypto, right? Boom. Merch, right? We're going to be dropping these at the Bitcoin conference. It's our logo in the front. It's question everything, trust nothing, with a little QR code surprise in the back. Don't worry, guys. It's not a virus or anything. We're not going to hack your MetaMask wallets or anything. So let me know. You guys know in the comments. Let me know if you guys like the shirt, like the merch, this and that. If it's cool, drop a 1. If it's not, drop a 2. I want to tell everybody, join the Discord. It's free. It's down below in the comments. The NFT art, we're actually going to be dropping a sneak peek to the art relatively very soon here. We're making some good headway with our artist. So that is a little Easter egg on there. So get ready, guys. The art is going to be mind-blowing, way better than I ever expected it to be honest. It's going to be an epic art design in general. So join the Danger Close NFT Discord. The link is down below. We're doing some crazy prepping stuff to get prepared for in case things go sideways. The metaverse will not save you. So like always, question everything, trust nothing. And until next time, hodl like it's hot.
Have a good night, everybody.
In a world where hopium and common sense collide, starring the CryptoKeeper and BlockchainCrusader. Welcome